And I told you how I then took them to Britain and they were going to stay with a Jamaican family. So I just wanted, in case they would say, oh, you are not white or something. They never said a word about them not being white,
But you
because I
know
kept.
why, Mahiba? Because you have an open mind, which most people don't. So,
This is
like
what
you
I
said,
said
so
it.
the children all play together, which is great. But the problem is the influence of the adults.
This is what I
And
said,
so, yeah,
the educational system above
but,
and beyond parents and parents'
but who's in the
prejudice.
education system? Who's at the
And we
top? It's
go
the
back to
adult.
that. There we go to the law, to the law.
Yeah.
My grandchildren are in Sweden, and at the school they go to, if one kid uses one insult, one prejudiced insult, immediately the parents are told off. Immediately. So it's the education, and above all, it's the law.
Correct. Yeah.
The law doesn't allow little ones,
Right.
let alone adults, to have prejudice, to look down on the other. A country where all these cultures come together needs to have this acceptance and the listening. Tell us about your religious festivals. And the little one would come and tell about the religious festivals, all exciting.
Yeah,
Tell
but
us about
how
your traditions.
the question is that how do you get people? I know in practice you're absolutely 100% correct, but the reality is that people have egos and don't listen to their bodies. And the reality is that people think that their culture is correct. So they're not thinking.
Correct.
So yeah, so how do you solve that problem?
How do you solve it? It's our role now as individuals.
Yeah.
Speaking against prejudice is not easy. Speaking against looking down on the other is not easy. You are going at first to be the odd woman out, the odd
Mm,
voice out. But this is why some people are now celebrated as having spoken of independence when they were colonized, of human rights when they were looked down upon. These are the Mandelas, these are the Martin Luther Kings, these are the Rosa, who
facts.
didn't want to let her a white person take her seat. These are the great men and women who say no to their own culture because they know it's wrong. They know it
Mm,
discriminates and they say no. So it's at two levels. We start with the
yeah.
individual who can say, not in my name. How many people have walked, demonstrated, not in my name? Don't you include me in your massacres, in your
Generalizations.
prejudice.
Yeah.
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 And it goes all the way to the highest, to the legislators. You will also be remembered for having stood as a legislator and said no to a legislation that is keeping your own people out because they
Yes.
happen to be black or women or poor or handicapped or whatever.
Yeah, I think the word individuality is so important as well as prejudice, isn't it? Because, it always amazes me that people realize that they are unique.
Yes.
They just
Yes.
don't realize that we've got 8 billion unique individuals on this
Yes.
planet, and that we have 8 billion incredibly different body systems and
Yes.
spirits and so on. We're all so unique, but as Abi said, I think it's the tribal instinct that people want
Survival.
to be with others. They want to be approved. So look at a child, for example. They will be taught by their parents to seek approval.
Mm,
I remember when I was a child, my mother was so upset because I didn't want to play with the kids I was at school with. I didn't have anything in common with them. So I preferred to be on my own quite often. And she was so upset. She couldn't sleep. She would grow up to be this weirdo. And we rowed about it all the time because I just didn't have anything common with them, and I didn't want to spend my time doing that, with them. So I think, as Muhiba says, I think it's about your personal courage to stick to your freedom, to stick to your unique perspective, and to acknowledge that your body works in a way that no other body works. In Japan, it's really strange because my doctor constantly is apologizing to me because they do not have my body constellation in their database. So he can't find anything to compare my blood, my bodily reactions to, because there's nobody like me in the Japanese database, because I'm twice as tall, twice as big, and a female. So he's constantly apologizing. And I kind of feel rather glad about it, because I realize that I am unique. I'm different to everybody else in Japan. And so I say, it's okay. I don't mind, I might die tomorrow, but who cares? I've got my individuality, but people are
Unfortunately, that's not the way, because we're going more as a collective, and I think that makes it, in terms of the world, we're going more as a collective where it's not about the individual and it's more about the collective. So who the majority, put it that way. So
yeah.
being an individual is a struggle. And I don't know. I think I don't know if you watch The Sound of Music, where it goes, how do you solve the problem? Like Maria, how do you solve this problem? It's so complex in terms of culture, because like Mohiba said, even within cultures, because, okay, my parents were both Nigerian, but they were from different cultures. And that was even a struggle. So different language, in terms of, okay, they were both Christians, but different branches of Christianity, which again has its own things to come with it. So, and even so when you bring, say, an African to Europe, that's a huge, big culture. Remove the color, just the culture alone. And that is because an African coming here would kind of feel, oh, I don't like that culture. I don't like the Western culture, because A, B, C, and D. And I think this, da, 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 da. So they're already opposed. And then the other person, and then when there's a disagreement, they might think it's a color thing. So already there's a miscommunication. Oh, you don't like me because of my color. No, but maybe they don't like you because of your culture. So it gets all muddled. So it's all, like you said, it has to be individual. Whereas individuals, we have to recognize what's within, what's outside, the prejudice, break down the prejudice, and then bring it all together. But in our world today, I'm sorry if I'm being negative. I'm not usually negative. I'm a skeptic. But because I think we're all the expectations and we're all trying to live as a collective, it is hard, but you have to be individual first before you can be collective. But we're going the other way around.
If I may comment, the whole story is about difference. You were saying it may not be your color, it may be your culture. Actually, it's just your difference. It could be just your name.
Yeah.
Your name is enough to distinguish you totally from someone else. But to go back to difference, as long as we see ourselves as different, but on practically the same level,
That's the
horizontal,
key, isn't it?
that
That's
is
the key.
the key. If
That
we
is the
are
key. But
horizontally different, we are fine. But when we see ourselves
which is
vertically
natural.
different,
That's the natural.
the natural is the
Because of the
horizontal
ego.
difference. But
The
here, because of
ego
history,
says that mine is better than yours.
the ego can be individual and can become collective, and it become tribal, and then it become national. And so if I take the case of my friend, former friend, he passed away, unfortunately, after becoming one of the best dermatologists in the United States, Black African, Black American, who said, I need to focus, and he wrote a beautiful book about Black American skin, because that was no interest for any doctor then. And so he thought, I tell you what, if we Black Americans do not get concerned with what happens to the black skin and all the problems that affect the black skin, white doctors are not going to do it.
Of
And he
course,
got
yeah.
it because of that classification. Who cares about black skin in the United States compared to who cares about white skin? And he wrote a beautiful book where he really explained that black people in the United States have got a different, completely different complexion, different complexity of the skin. And that is what I mean by prejudice. This topic, this question should have been taken care of long, long, long before he thought of focusing on black skin. It
But
should have concerned
that is only
everyone,
natural. Just like when you're in Africa with black people, they will not think about white skin.
because
White
whites
people
are a
have something about
minority.
white skin. So what I'm
Ebi,
saying is that you got getting my point that it's always tribal. And so when we're putting a population that's different from ours, we might find some prejudice on both sides. It's not on one side. So the other person might be prejudiced that, oh, I don't know, this is different. And you are also prejudiced, oh, they're saying this against me because I'm different. So there's all it's such a complex topic, I think, culture. And like Lyndon said, it's about the embodiment of the individual, listening like to the inside, to your body, what it's feeling, what's right, what's wrong. It's
and
not
what
about
this
culture,
is,
but because we're tribal, that is difficult to break. So how do you break that? And Muhiba has given examples of education, but unfortunately, emotions are strong.
I
actually,
think that
that's what he did. Yeah, sorry. Just said that
no,
this is why he looked into his body. This doctor
Mm.
looked into his body, his own skin, that told him, oh, oh, what these white doctors are telling you is all wrong. It's based on white data, it's based on white
yeah,
people's data. So
yes,
you create
yes.
your own data, which I must say, it's not like having a few uh, black people in the United States. It's a huge minority, and it is a huge minority that built the country. There should have been more concerned with these people who gave so much, so much.
I think that's a simplification of the problems there, because everybody, you can't say, again, you see the cultural thing, you can't say one person, one race built a whole big nation like that. It's
I
such a
said, I
huge
gave so
country.
much.
You can't
I
say,
said,
so different cultures built, so
no,
the
I didn't say they built it. I said, gave so much
Contribution.
in pain, contributed in pain, in suffering, and gave so much. I'm very, very cautious with what I say. Gave so much. No one can say anything against this. They did give
it
so
is. I,
much.
I think culture is complex, and like you said earlier, it's an individual. It's for us to grow individually to be able to have the collective. We can't really blame, because I think all cultures have made mistakes, and all cultures are faulty in the way things have gone. And the correction is for us as individuals to understand what's inside and not feel that our culture is correct or that culture is to blame, because it's all individual. But as a collective, yeah, maybe one culture might blame more than the other. I don't know, but it is. I find it complex, and when I
It
watch
is incredibly complex, and
that
I
come to
think
me,
media hype is a big problem with all this,
yeah,
because
that is a big problem. It's
we
not
we
really.
are constantly being fed media hype about culture and about race and about all manner of things, and that's why I refuse to get involved. I'm very much on the edges of all this media hype, because it's completely distracting from your individuality, from
And
your
unreal.
own background, and totally unreal. Yes. So I really steer clear of that. And I always, even in Japan, when there are problems culturally, sometimes, for me, and in other countries I've lived, I always come back to the idea I put on my video. The human body is the first culture. That is where we start. That's our birth. That's our um, ecology, if you like, our ecosphere. That's where we come from. And then the limited mind of, it's only the first time I've mentioned that today. That's good, isn't it? I've been trying to hold back.
Good
then
girl, good girl.
the limited mind kicks in and says, oh, but she's bigger than me and he's smellier than me, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And so
The
this is where,
limited mind sees difference where we should see common. We should work on what's common. That's why, and I know we talked about diversity at the beginning. I don't like the word because your limited mind goes to difference. When you hear the word diversity, you're just looking for the difference. But we should be looking for what we have in common, and that will bring us together. If we start to look for difference, because we're tribal in our DNA, we immediately start with the prejudice and the other things that come along with difference.
That's
So
my
yeah,
idea about the bouquet, where
yeah, I love that.
we
I actually wrote it down.
refuse, yes, we refuse prejudice. We refuse to be told what to think of the other. We have the
yes,
other in front of us with
yes,
all the beauty, all the diversity, which means, something new I'm going to learn, something I didn't know
Yeah.
before. And you collect your bouquet, and it's in any case original and
Mm,
unique, something that is not to exist in anyone else. Each one of us is a unique bouquet because it's a
yeah.
collection of different experiences,
Mm-hmm.
thoughts, feelings, emotions. And that is the bouquet who we are, whom we choose to be, whom we
Mm,
choose to be. And that is the difference.
yes,
The freedom to create your own bouquet. That is in your hands.
yes. But how do we encourage people to do this? This is my big mission because, as Eddie
embodiment.
said, yes. Well, that's my answer to everything.
And
Um,
my answer is your other one. That is when you refuse limited mind. Because limited mind is see contradiction, see double standards, and accept them and say, "Oh, my boss says this, my mom says this, my leader says this." You accept all these totally contradictory narratives, and you accept them. This is the limited mind. When
Because it's safe. Or you feel it's safe. So
you
that's
think
the
it's
thing.
safe, and it's the most dangerous because
Yeah,
you are
it is
harming
safe
others,
because
you are unfair to others, you accept what you are told, although you know facts contradict this totally, or your emotions tell you this. You have a little
mm,
one who is black and you are white, and he's so cute, but you say, no,
mm,
he can't be cute. My mom says these people are, no, different in the sense they can't be us. You are
but that
refusing
is
your own
the minority
emotions.
of people, I find.
Sorry?
I find that most people are not like that. Like the sentence you just said. Most people are not like that. But like you said, with the media hype, it's blown out of proportion. When I,
yes,
when I when I walk
yes.
outside, I go to places, I don't find that experience. Because most people are too concerned about their issues anyway. So again, it's the media hype, and maybe that's a starting point where we have to put more pressure on our media to be more inclusive, not by ticking boxes, but by understanding that this sort of rhetoric or this sort of language doesn't help the general masses because we have a different perception. Because if I listen to the media, I will be scared to go out of my place. I know the reality is not that way because I experience it. So I know that's not the reality. Because,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I
I
totally
agree.
agree. I
Mm,
totally agree. I
me
totally
too.
agree. At least we have,
Mm,
for once, the three of us agreeing. Now, you said something. Most people are not like this, and I entirely agree. You see millions of people sometimes marching against their own government, which continues the same policy, which means that most people, the people, are not like this. Unfortunately, those who are like this are those who hold power and hold to power and don't want, they have no interest in letting go. And so they propagate all these differences and the famous divide and rule. You have all your power when you manage to divide people according to differences, to colors, to cultures, to whatever.
mm,
These people shouldn't have the right to reign over our own thinking, our own emotions, our own bodies.
mm,
That is for sure.
mm. And I think that's why, Muhibab, the arts world is so different, isn't
Mm.
it? Because writers and musicians and painters and so on, they
Yes.
have the
They
freedom
come together
to
with their
express
music.
themselves. Yeah. And
Yeah.
they don't get involved. They just
Yeah.
are absolutely dedicated to their art.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I feel we need many more artistic people,
Mm.
truly artistic people in the world, because art is truth, because it comes
Yeah.
from people's hearts usually, and it fills the world with beautiful things, you know. So
You said it. You said it. Art is truth. Art is freedom. These
and
people,
art
you
is
can't.
freedom.
You
No,
can't put them in cages. You can't
no,
put them in prison. They would fly out of prison mentally,
yeah,
artistically. So
yes,
these people have one thing in common. They tell truth because they are free thinkers. All. Any artist is a free
yeah,
thinker.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Art,
That,
yeah. Because music is one thing that brings people together.
yeah,
All times.
that,
I just hear music, different cultures. I like different cultural music. And now I'm going to learn how to dance Bangra, which is
oh,
like I'm not sure pronouncing it right, but I met this group, and so it's from Indian, the Indian Asian, and the drumming is so beautiful, and the way they dance with a lot of energy. So two things: I'll enjoy the music, and I'll also get the exercise. So it's really great.
so that's a really lovely resolution, isn't it, for all this cultural stuff? I feel like many things, many topics that have really risen to the surface of life in the last 300 years, that they become exaggerated, they become so acute and intensive that we are drawn into all that. You know, we're drawn into cultural differences. We're
Mm.
drawn into, you know, and so my my uh, attitude is stay away from the flames. The flames will
Mm.
burn you, but just step back and you'll still be warm. But you have objectivity, you have some perspective. So I'm, you know, people think I'm very much on the edge of things, but it's a kind of that's my culture because that's where the freedom is. Staying away from all of these things gives me the freedom to be my unique self. Um,
Only
and
again, the body, not the body, the mind likes to know these things, and I think we form habits of wanting to always, and that's why the news is always negative because that's the human DNA, isn't it? They're
mm,
so excited. If the news is about nice and happy things, nobody's going to be watching.
Well, that's right. Yeah, that's really strange, isn't it? The downfall of others seems to be a great entertainment to people, which really.
Lyndon, I love your metaphor about keep away from the flames so that you don't
Flames,
get
yeah.
burnt, but you keep warm. And sometimes there is less and less space since we are all keeping away. So I don't mind putting some water on the flames so that we can get closer and have more
Yeah.
space and be warm without being burnt. Each one
Yeah.
of us, it's our
Sounds
role to
good.
put some little water on these flames so that they
Yeah.
don't go wild and consume those who are too close and who haven't got space to go back. I love
Mm,
your
Sounds
metaphor.
sounds
love it,
good.
yeah. Mm.
Wonderful. Well, I'm so glad we brought all of the confusion of this topic, which people write whole theses about. And I know several teachers, university teachers, who teach nothing but culture. And
Yeah,
I often
It's
think, oh,
huge.
this is very strange to me, really, that when and they don't ever include anything about the body or the spirit. You know, culture
Mm.
just becomes this objective kind of antique almost that they spend the whole time describing. It's nothing to do with human life to me. And there, where we all kind of find ourselves in commonality, you know, we come back to the idea that we are unique. And isn't it miraculous that the three of us, can be here and talk about these things so beautifully?
absolutely. Thank you
And,
for
you
organizing it.
know,
Thank you for
my
making it possible.
Yep.
My pleasure. My pleasure. This is what I love about being able to really just accept. We are so intolerant. We always have to. Human nature is so intolerant nowadays, and I feel that tolerance is my middle name because that's been my spiritual pathway, really.
That's another topic.
That's another
Tolerance, because
topic.
we walked over with tolerance.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah,
So, what are we
yeah.
going to talk about next week? What's the next progression from this? Any ideas?
Hmm.
You need time,
Maybe we
maybe.
can think about that.
Yeah, fine.
If tolerance is not a repeat of today, we can go to tolerance.
I think tolerance is a fantastic topic.
Why wouldn't we go there? It
Shall we
might
go
be
there?
a follow up. I
We can
think
go
so because
there,
we've
yeah.
still got things to say.
Yeah.
Tolerance, yes.
Maybe.
Yeah, because tolerance would be, well, I don't know. It can't be positive, it can't be negative.
It
Well,
can't be.
tolerance and the word of tolerance, yeah, it's a
Yes,
great
yes,
thing.
yes.
Yeah, tolerance is the
Coexistence.
word, yeah.
It's rather coexistence is a neutral word.
Mm.
Coexist.
Yes.
And a
Right.
lot of coexistence scholars don't use tolerance, they use
Mm.
coexistence. Yeah,
Mm.
you're right.
Coexistence, yeah.
Yes. Okay. Shall we do it? Yeah. I
I would
think it
love to.
might be really good because um, what tolerance means to me is very different to what it means to you, and that goes for all of us, really.
That is, yeah. So
And
maybe a
Good.
definition
So
to
let's
start.
go for tolerance.
yeah,
Yeah.
Let's go for
so
tolerance then.
we're all
So that
coming
we need
from
to define it. We need
yes.
to
And
define it.
let's start off with a definition unique to us. Because I think if we
Absolutely.
talk about that, it will bring our uniqueness to the fore, and
Yes,
people will
absolutely.
see, you know, that if we really embrace our uniqueness and our embodiment and so on, then we really truly can be tolerant, because
Yes,
without being insincere, without being
absolutely.
untruthful to ourselves, which to me is the most important thing of
Yes.
all, to
And
be
Yeah.
allow
honest
the
with yourself.
others. When you are tolerant, you allow yourself to be yourself and allow the other to be themselves.
Yes,
I don't. I mean,
absolutely.
allow. Okay, allow. It looks like you're giving permission. I think when
Yes,
you
I give
talk
myself
again,
permission. I started with myself. You know, I am a linguist, so play no tricks with
I
me,
think.
Abby.
I think.
I
Yeah.
allow
Well,
myself. I allowed myself first. So
Mm,
you allow yourself to be yourself. So
mm,
allow the others to be themselves. You can use
Yeah.
whatever you let myself, ask myself, you use the same word, it's equivalent and fair.
Mm.
If you any NLP, I've done lots of NLP in my life, then allow is an extremely neutral word. It doesn't have any doing in it.
No,
I'm always
no.
looking for non-doing words. So in my meditation work, that's a word I use a lot. Allow your eyelids to float down. You know, it's a very, very powerful and neutral word, and there are quite a lot like it, which I use a lot.
We
Um,
sometimes use give permission. Give yourself permission to make mistakes. It's lovely.
mm,
It's so
mm,
sweet. It's so tender. Don't
mm,
blame yourself. We do
yeah,
make mistakes, so give yourself permission to make mistakes.
yeah,
You can move on.
So
It's a
it
lovely.
allows others, not that you allow others.
No,
It allows
mm,
others to be themselves as
you
opposed to
you
you allow others to be
mm,
themselves. Mm.
and others allow you. It's reciprocity that makes
yeah,
it so
It allows
beautiful.
you to be yourself.
Of course, but you
mm,
also allow the
Sorry,
other.
again, that's
Let the other.
the subconscious mind
Yeah,
and the
let yourself be yourself.
yeah.
Let the others be themselves. The others are expected to do the same. Any
Mm,
reciprocity has a lot of respect in it, a lot of
mm,
respect for yourself and the other. So
mm,
mm,
let us all be
mm.
tolerant.
Yes,
mm,
I agree, but I do think also that people are so trapped in many ways in their script, in their situation, and so on, that they don't have the wherewithal to actually use that word allow or to give permission. You know, they're not embodied, they're not in their root at all, they're really not connected. And so I think a lot of people lack the confidence to even notice that you're being yourself, and they're not being themselves. You know, this is the kind of conflict I think that a lot of people
mm. There is
have.
Yeah.
conflict in the mind.
And
They're
dance
not
together.
present. They're not
Just
present.
dance together. Dance together. And
Mm,
Definitely.
each one dances to the tune, to the music, the way you like.
Mm,
Sometimes you go and you find people dancing, they don't look the same when they're dancing. The dancing is not the same. They
mm.
are still dancing together.
Well, this goes
mm,
back to the behavior is not the person, doesn't it? Which was
mm. Okay,
a few
so are we
weeks ago.
settled now? Tolerance.
Tolerance. Okay, tolerance. Wonderful. Okay. Well, thanks so much of you. It's been
Thank you.
great,
Thank you,
as always.
Lyndon. Thank you, Abby. Thank you,
Thank
our
you.
audience.
Thank you, thank you. And I'm so sorry it was a bit rocky at the beginning, but it wasn't me, honestly. It was StreamYard. It seems to have settled down now. I don't know what was happening with links.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Okay, so
Okay.
Amy and Dr. Muibeth, thanks so much, and we'll see you again next Friday. Bye bye.
Okay, thank
Bye.
you very
Take
much.
care.
Have a
Have a
great
lovely week.
weekend. Yeah,
Bye.
I'll be
Bye.
in
Bye
touch.
bye.
Bye bye. Bye. Wonderful. So, yes, we really managed to resolve this question of culture. It is a very complex topic, but it really does point us in that direction of, um, knowing ourselves, of embodying ourselves, and having the courage to be ourselves, which many people do not have, it seems. So, if you'd like to continue with our um, interesting dialogue, then join us again next week, same time, same place. And if you'd like to come in the studio and join us, we'd be delighted. So please use the link and apply to come and be in the studio with us. It would be lovely. And yes, in the meantime, I look forward to the coming week. We're going to be talking about ethics in event 9. And we have a wonderful guest. a medical doctor who is a really good friend of mine, who really is an expert on ethics, Annika